Dangote Refinery plans to supply up to 65 million litres of petrol daily to the Nigerian market under a structured offtake arrangement aimed at stabilising domestic fuel supply and cutting imports. The refinery said the agreement would prioritize local distribution before any exports, potentially meeting most of Nigeria's daily petrol demand. To unpack this, I am joined by Daniel Duodu, Compliance and ISO Lead Auditor. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so looking at Dangote Refinery's recent strides, we're talking about the fact that it has reached its 650,000 barrels per day nameplate capacity, and it has even surpassed it. And we also see its commitment to supplying between 60 to 65 million litres of PMS daily. Would you say NNPCL goofed by reducing its stake in the refinery?
I would say, depending on how you're coming about it. For me, this is my view. I think when you're looking at the future, you said, okay, they had goofed for not, but I'm sure they have their reasons because they were actually struggling with debt as of that period, and they were thinking about paying off people who the arrangements they had on ground already. So they have a reason for that. But we're looking at the future. You're going to say, yes, they had goofed, because if you're thinking about investment futuristically, you know, where Dangote Refinery will be in 5 to 6 years' time. So you will really say, yes, they had actually goofed there. So because if you check the ownership, what they had planned was 20%. Now it's just 7.25%. And then the payment status, and then you take the control, and then the dividends also. Control, they are actually minority shareholders currently now, unlike what they had planned to be, which they were supposed to be take major shareholdings on the board. But it's still, yes, I would say they had goofed there. Thank you.
All right, so let's move away from that now. Looking at these numbers, 60 to 65 million litres, the 650,000 barrels per day production and all that. Talk to us about what they portend for Nigeria.
Okay. Now, if previously we used to actually import fuel, and then we had issues like FX, and then we had issues like availability of the USD. So the whole lot of the issues were because we had problems with FX and then availability of USD to be able to procure products and bring it down to Nigeria. Now, having the refinery here has actually cut off a whole lot of that away. For example, you don't need to import a whole lot down to the country, knowing the consumption rate in Nigeria. So what Dangote is trying to do is match what the local needs are, and also export the remaining part of it, which is actually going to be a win-win, but it's going to be a very big game changer for the downstream, because every other person, both the marketers, the importers, the people who has the storage facility, all of them will all have to change the game with this split of light. If not so, you're actually out of the game.
When you say they need to change game, I need you to speak to that, because to some persons, when you're looking at all of this, you're saying we have a single player that can supply what the market needs. So what happens to the other players in the value chain? I mean, what happens to them? I think that's what you were on about. Could you just land on that before we move on?
Okay. Now, before I talked about that, if you're about to fall into water and you don't have a life jacket, if somebody gives you a hand, you're not going to stand to give an analysis of why is it the only person giving me a hand to save me. Now, we had a problem. The problem we had was supply of petrol, the availability of it. So if we have Dangote right now starting to fill that gap, I think you could say yes, for now it's actually a monopoly section between the NNPC and Dangote, but give it time. It's going to create room for other people to come in and participate in this and actually create a competition, by so doing reducing the costs of petrol at the long run. But for now, you could say yes, it's more or less like a monopoly, because right now he's the only one actually standing in the gap, trying to see how to meet this demand.
Well, let's look at the tanker conversation. Now, a single tanker carries about 45,000 litres. Moving 65 million litres requires roughly 1,400 trucks per day. Is our current trucking and pipeline network capable of moving 65 million litres daily without creating new distribution chokeholds?
No, that's almost impossible. That's because actually thinking about loading, first of all, we need to think about the where the Dangote Refinery is actually located. We need to also think about the road. And so the best thing that will happen will be using vessels to be able to supply Calabar, maybe Port Harcourt, Bori, all those refineries. So moving by water will actually be the best bet to actually move these products down to those places without using the tanker. Then maybe the just tanker taking just a few liters to distribute for those that are not close to the water run areas. But I think the best bet will be the channels using the water side to be able to give to all those places before because despite the fact that we still say we can actually meet the need if logistics is not properly planned, the essence of why the refineries here will not even, the benefits will not even be seen at all.
So when you look at infrastructure, really, how ready are we if we're going to bank on Dangote Refinery to get this across the country? How infrastructure ready are we?
The truth is we're not ready infrastructure-wise for the distribution, because if you want to check the road maps and you want to check how many tankers can actually go in a day, what is the road size to be able to take it down to these countries, down to those states. So it's not possible for you to just do these things in a flash. And it's not like we have a train system. If we have a train system that could put this product on a train and maybe at night and then in the morning they are already in Calabar, they are in Warri, then we don't have a train system that can do that. All we depend on is the sea, and then we depend on land, which is the trucking. So for now, we don't even think we're ready infrastructure-wise, except we need to use the sea for now until we're ready infrastructure-wise to be able to handle such logistics.
Right, thank you so much. I guess while we're trying to fix that, other players in that particular sector will, they would have the time to probably change their models and see what they can do around that. Thank you so much.
Yes, this is going to help, because now
I'm afraid my director tells me we need to end it here. Thank you so much for your time on the show today.
All right, thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the day.